Opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the presenters and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the U.S. Department of Labor. For this webinar, we encourage you to submit your questions or comments through the WebEx chat box on your right side, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. It's now my pleasure to turn the call over to Ms. Betty Locke, Women's Bureau, Region 10, Regional Administrator. Thank you. Begin.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Betty, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar, Women in Transportation, and especially Northwestern Women Moving America. You know, despite great advances in educational attainment and professional attainment over the past decades, many women continue to face gender-specific barriers that inhibit them from obtaining occupational integration, equal compensation with men, and fair treatment in the workplace. Today, our focus is on non-traditional occupations and more specifically in transportation careers. We have three amazing women panelists who will discuss the employment needs within the transportation industry. They represent trucking, maritime, and aviation, and they will talk about how women are changing the labor market. They will share their personal strategies and recommend solutions to combat continuing gender stereotype, employment bias, and wage gap in male-dominated workplaces. Mostly, they'll tell you why they got into these career pathways and why it's worth it, why they would encourage more women to get into these career pathways. In the interest of time, what I'll do is I will go ahead and put the biography of our panelists, and I will turn it over to them. Our first presenter is Desiree Wood. Desiree is the founder and president of Real Women in Trucking. It's a nonprofit agency that helps women entering into truck driving training, and it provides information to keep them safe and increase their chances for success during the first critical year of truck driving. She has a personal blog, Trucker Desiree, and she's also a YouTube channel. A long-haul truck driver, Desiree frequently travels a route in Pacific Northwest port areas to deliver specialty dairy products. Desiree, you're here. Our second presenter is Captain Catherine Sweeney. She is the CEO of Compliance Maritime. They are providers of independent internal auditing of security, safety, quality, and environmental management systems for vessel operators. Captain Sweeney is an experienced master mariner, safety expert, and federally licensed pilot for over 25 years in the maritime industry in the greater Puget Sound area. And our third presenter is Ms. Rebecca Berge, and she is the president of the Washington State Chapter of Women in Aviation International, and is hoping to provide young women with encouragement, guidance, and support to pursue aviation career goals. And she often appears at career fairs, aviation activities, scholarship, and mentorship activities. Rebecca, a commercial pilot and flight instructor for flying, teaching in vintage and specialty aircrafts from 1920s through the present, and this includes World War I and World War II military aircraft. Currently, she works for the Boeing Commercial Airplane Company in 787 Interior Change Management, and they're located in Everett, Washington. Now I'll turn the presentation over to Desiree.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Desiree Wood. I'm president and founder of the Real Women in Trucking Incorporated Truck Driving Organization. This formed in 2010 to protest the way women truckers were being marginalized and stereotyped in our own industry. Only 6 women entering truck driver training are making it, becoming qualified drivers according to trainers in our organization. Today, Women in Trucking is a 501c6 member organization. We are real women drivers delivering highway safety through leadership, mentorship, education, and advocacy. Next slide. I began my journey into commercial truck driver training in 2007. I was pre-hired with a large over-the-road fleet that trained right out of my CDL school. It was harrowing, and it led me to use social media to share what I discovered. What he was not an isolated incident. I found out it was an industry-wide problem, and it wasn't being addressed. My safety was jeopardized, and it hindered my ability to remain employed as a truck driver. It all impacted highway safety, and I wanted the public to become more educated on how truck drivers were trained. I'm a West native. I'm familiar with driving the Pacific Northwest. I often have picked up and go down the West Coast regions. Heavy truck, weak infrastructure, extreme wind weather in the mountain regions, and the difficulty finding truck parking make Washington sort of unfriendly territory from truck drivers. I'm currently out of South Florida, and these are a few pictures from the road with my dog, who I picked up my first year driving to the fifth grade. As I'm on social media, I took to share my concerns. My Twitter activity has been recognized internationally. My student trucker story was the basis of a series of investigative reports I began rather. This is kind of tough when you consider an individual that lives alone in the cab of a truck and lives an invisible life he's heard around the world. That life of a truck driver is isolated and it's alone. For a woman driver, it's even more isolated. So you love being with yourself to enjoy this job. Next slide. Next, okay. Is one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs to hold. Truck drivers make up about 6% of the truck driver population, but I'm really more about 20%. Because you're out on the road, they are very visually present. The data discrepancy along the way these women are calculated. Women themselves as independent, emotionally able to work and travel alone, committed to highway safety, resourceful, they have good trip planning skills. Truck drivers require a reasonable level of upper body strength to maneuver between 75 and 100 pounds. You have to be able to climb. You have to be able to identify trailer problems, inspect engines, and get them repaired. Their willingness to get your hands, your hair, and your clothes dirty every day. There's drivers that don't schedule freight appropriately, and because a first driver is going to find it shocking that a day hour is a luxury and not a privilege, because it always takes precedence over personal needs. Workers must be creative solutions to create a new lifestyle for themselves when they're on the road. It's not a job for everyone, regardless of gender. Next slide. Women are not to trucking. They've been driving big rigs since World War I era, and they've been mostly invisible in transportation history guidelines. Third violence has been an expectation of women, even from women in different sectors of the industry. Because the image of women truckers has always occurred, but it's always helped them get dignified recognition. In 1918, Louis was used to promote truck equipment. It was a message that said, it's so easy to operate our trucks, even a woman can do it. This was when women didn't really travel far for work if they traveled at all. Louis traveled in an open-top truck from Wisconsin on transcontinental tour. In 1944, Wendy Dow was the first woman truck operator to drive over the Alaska Highway. Truck driving is considered so unnatural an occupation that it substantially grounds for the state of California to take the children age to Bitsy Gomez. Bitsy activists with the Coalition of Women Truckers. They expose, and this is still an issue that's prevalent today in some starter trucks in companies where women are expected to speak with a person they know about. Next slide. Women who need information about entering truck driving today are getting the wrong message about what it takes to be a trucker. Naive students are easy to exploit, and driver training is isolated. Women in trucking must be prepared to work, but the perception of women truckers promotes a sexy, promiscuous outlaw, our own industry sponsors events for beauty contests over ability. The imagery entrance or pedal gives a sense of cohesion that doesn't exist. There is a focus on education and work ethic kind of work, and therefore we're seeing less serious candidates enter in the training sector. There's come in all shapes and sizes and ethnicities. Mothers, grandmothers, mother-daughter teams, sisters, many drones preferring the solitude of the road. Most of the women entering trucking today are between the ages of 42 and 55. There are women driving who are over 65 years of age. Some have been on the road 30 years, and it's really all they know how to do. Our Vice President is pictured in the upper left corner of this slide. She will be 75 this June. But it's important that many seasoned women truckers were introduced to the occupation by a spouse, a father, or other, and they learned for a long period of time. This is not a entry-level truck driver training environment. There are many obstacles to success first year. So the truck driving needs to do a personal assessment of themselves and be honest to have what it takes to become a qualified driver. They have to have an attitude for driving. They have a responsibility to highway safety, the ability to learn something outside their comfort zone and be able to live and work alone long periods of time. They have to be line and lift or maneuver at least 75 pounds unassisted. They have to be able to survive on very low pay for the first 6 months, maybe longer. Some people tolerate going without a shower facility for a couple days. Well, this industry is promoting more women-friendly trucks with a message that says women are weaker than men, and they need these types of trucks to be encouraged to enter truck driver training. This is the message. There's women and men who are barely 5 feet tall that began driving before there was power steering. Trucks have to be able to drive 11 hours a day with limited access to the bathroom, taking a shower via the truck stop. There's not healthy meal choices available, no time to exercise. You will be dry, sleeping in a bunk of truck, extreme driving or weather is year-round. Drivers have to have the courage to keep driving in a storm in a safe manner, but have the common sense to shut down and park when you know it's safe to move. You can or you can't. None of us are cut out to be doctors and lawyers, and not everyone is cut out for truck driving, regardless of your gender or your stature. So there's two parts to becoming a licensed commercial driver. Step one is choosing a CDL school over a CDL school. And step two is being hireable at a preferable starter company and get at least 1 year verifiable accident-free employment. You, in order to do this correctly, you have to do it in a certain way. Then you can go to a better paying job. There are state and federal grants available for training. There's tuition reimbursement. Getting a conditional prayer letter is common, and there is easy job placement. So choosing wisely, and that's why our organization was formed. I do want to note, though, that despite the barriers, there's still discriminatory practices in some of the experience level jobs. So it kind of keeps women below wage barriers. So I about the two-step process in the earlier slide, which says to start company first and see what they require before choosing a school. There's an FAQ section on our website that goes in depth with some nonsense information on this. You find out if you're going to be hireable before you invest in the school. A community college program is always better private enterprise CDL schools available. And maybe you Google all prospective employers and schools names followed by the word complaint. The Trucker Report forum section is a great place to do this. Next slide. Washington State license website, they have a list of approved CDL schools. This is a starting point, but it shouldn't really be considered a guarantee of quality CDL training. I saw a couple, 3 schools on this map for this slide that I would consider to be preferable to private schools. Local employers are more likely to hire a graduate from one of these community college programs. Referable employer considers a qualified CDL candidate to be one that has been trained well, not fast. So visit truck drivers are paid the same regardless of gender. They have, the median wage in 1980 is still what the median wage is today, about $38,000 a year. Even though we hear it's more, it's really not. For drivers pay low after tuition reimbursement. It could be as low as $18,000 a year. With tuition debt, you would make maybe $36,000 for the year. Long drivers are paid cents per mile. They're not subject to wait hour laws. They're only paid for driving, not waiting, and there's a lot of waiting. They've been called sweatshops on wheels. So this is a very stressful work environment. It can impact health and safety. Local job difference, the pay is hourly. You drive fewer miles, but you're in a lot of traffic, a lot of weather. There's additional labor to unload the freight, and some of them might exceed OSHA guidelines. So living agility tests have been reported discriminatory for women in some of the experience level jobs, as I mentioned. What I mean is this job doesn't really require that much lifting, or the test is different from women to eliminate them. Next slide. The decision-making ability that allows charter companies to have access to these. You must be aware that there have been ongoing sex assault and retaliation for reporting the conduct at some of the charter companies. A lot of that are entering trucking are from low socioeconomic conditions, so they're easier to exploit. So you find out from these charter companies, do they routine driving as a phase of training, and do they have lease trucks? If they say those two things, this is not focused on safety, and they should be scratched off your list. Next slide. First, ask for help. Reach out to a mentor group. Keep them informed of progress through each stage of your first year. A lot of them, they don't want to ask for help until it's too late, and the personality type that's attracted to truck driving is a loner. It makes it really difficult to mentor and accept advice for other women. Not women have the same experience. Married women have a completely different experience than a single woman. But this does not mean you need to run out and get a man so that you can do the job. What you need to do is learn everything you can while you have access to your instructors. It's for men to come up and offer assistance, but it's best to lightly decline and do the work yourself. That's how you earn respect from your fellow drivers. You guys from somebody that learned 20 or 30 years ago, the environment is completely different. So when you're women out there on the road alone, you'll meet a lot of people from different backgrounds, and they sometimes don't even know that they're being offensive. You have to be able to steer the conversation back to a professional level. Don't share personal issues. It can be misinterpreted when you're out on the road alone. Through Facebook and social media, we've been able to have weekly ways to connect with members and people that aren't members to give them a way to have a support group, keep them informed specific topics as like winter driving, how to deal with difficult dispatches, how to report to human resources, equipment help, finding a safe place to park, stuff like that. Next slide. Solutions, be honest. You know, there's women that value highway safety, and they can enjoy a low maintenance life, but they need to be able to plan accordingly. So you have to be truthful in your recruiting about what the job responsibility is. The course needs to be evaluated with an outside third party, and changes must be made. There's too many companies in trucking that think they need to comply with FMCSA regulations and not OSHA, EEOC, not the Department of Labor. So an outside third party analysis of the corporate culture can help to see what's internally. Take and implement change. Comprehensive sexual harassment and discrimination training is weak and existent in many truck driver training carriers. Culture change must be reinforced with annual retraining. Consequences must be clear, not empty threats. When there's a complaint, it has to be taken seriously immediately. Investigate it and listen to your employees, especially the new entrants, since they're involved and they have a right to safe training. The other should be to create a healthy work atmosphere that denies prejudice, bias, and sexual misconduct. Mentor external innovation, the business models, the tax driver health. Women make great truck drivers, but they have family responsibilities. So some of these business models need to be rethought of the way that long-haul and local drivers are trained and supported. Driver conditions, these areas need to be addressed to satisfy shortage projections. And there's really bad training carriers out there, so we all really need to become aware of where negative student fleets are, and they should not participate on hiring funds or websites. Last slide. If you have information on any of the strategies to attack and retain women as truck drivers, you can email me. And I just want to thank you very much for having me join your webinar.
Sweeney.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be able to talk about where in the maritime industry, as well as other options out there for women to go to see today. Two shots of me. The lower right is me on a brand new container ship that I took out of the shipyard in Philadelphia. It's about a $200 million vessel there. And on the left are some days at sea. So I'd like to start about how I got into the industry. I started out at a 4-year maritime academy in California, one of the schools in the nation. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree, so it's much like a college. There were very many women at the school at the time. Women were deck, like myself. One was engine. However, of the deck graduates, 2 of us were in the top 10%, and the third female wasn't far behind us. When I graduated, there wasn't a lot of jobs, so I started out as an able-bodied seaman and then worked my way up to master. Job as captain or as master, it was really hard to get because there wasn't a lot of jobs, but I was very damned and determined to get ahead and to upgrade my license and to keep going to the next level. Once there, it can also be kind of hard to keep. But I up as a chief mate, the level of captain or master, you get a little bit more respect because you're actually the person making decisions, and some of the decisions regard as to who gets your pay, and so that can be some respect. And then when you make it to captain, you're in charge, so there's not a lot of harassment or discrimination on board. because you're the person in charge. You know, you can still face a feeling getting there, and then if you want to move on further in your career. Army is quite different in that when you're out there, you're all by yourself on the ocean. You rely on your shipmate to make it run. If you have problems and you have an emergency and you have to abandon ship, you're relying on your fellow seafarers out there. Actually, also your competition to some degree to rescue you. I participated in a few rescues at sea. When I was captain, I rescued a ship that had sunk. A Japanese fishing trawler had sunk, and 6 Japanese fishermen were in the life raft. I managed to maneuver the vessel alongside the life raft and get all of the aboard. And for that, it was being in the right place at the right time, which is most of this industry is about being in the right place at the right time. And I just get a few awards for that and a seamanship trophy, so that's pretty exciting. So operations, life on board. Commercial is necessarily military in nature, like you would expect Army or a Navy type of situation. However, we do have a strong chain of command. The captain, also called the master, is in control of the vessel at all times. It's down basically into 3 departments: a deck, engine, and a steward's department. The deck department takes care of the navigation of the vessel. We have licensed individuals called ABs that actually steer the ship. So I'm up there on the ship, on the bridge, steering the vessel myself. Rather, I have somebody doing it for me. And most likely these days, most of the time it's actually being done by a computer, where we enter the route in and the computer steers the ship. But the second department is the engine department. The department keeps the vessel going, keeps the engines running, the lights on, the hot water running, the things that we need to keep the vessel moving from point A to B, and all of its systems. This department keeps track of cooking all of our meals and cleaning the interior spaces, as well as ordering the food in what's basically considered the hotel. This industry is highly regulated. The ships are built to a very strict construction rules and regulations. When operating, we're also very highly regulated. National, federal, state, local rules that must be followed. Local rules here, as well as local rules in the country you're going to. You have to know what those rules are, and you have to follow them. The emphasis is put on safety, safety of the vessel, and safety of the environment, as we want to cause any oil spills. You know, we can't throw garbage over the side. Certain things have to be done certain ways. Actually, some of the rules we do have were the result of horrific events like the Titanic, Valdez, or the Costa Concordia. Here's on the job. Like our previous panelists spoke, you know, sometimes you have to work twice as hard just to prove yourself. You know, it can be highly demanding work, long hours, no weekends. But you do work twice as hard to prove yourself. Sometimes it does get noticed. And because you're used to it, it becomes second nature. I know for myself, it got noticed early on, and I progressed the levels quite rapidly, faster than my male counterparts that I had graduated with. And I think it was a direct result of being in school and having to work twice as hard. Closers, you know, at the end of the day, you can't get away. You know, you're with these people 24/7. It's like you can go home and decompress, and that can be kind of tough at times. Work, it can be a lot of work, and it's on a platform that's always moving. We're underway out in the open ocean. The vessel's moving, but also sometimes alongside a dock, the vessel can still move. You have to account for that and make sure things are down and stay safe. Homeless, obviously, there's isolation. You know, Facebook out there, and sometimes we don't even have the internet to send calls, and that can be kind of hard. Obviously, the issue of seasickness. If you are prone to seasickness, it's a tough career to go. being sick and nauseous every day. Other aspects of the industry where you're not on the vessel, or maybe a vessel that hardly moves at all, like maybe a passenger ferry in inside waters, but if you are prone to seasickness, it can be tough. At times, there's very little room for error. A small error can really make the news. Captains and chief engineers have actually gone to jail for some of their actions. Pretty far and few between, and when there were some pretty good reasons why they did go to jail. Bias and gender stereotyping alive and well. I work hard to overcome the stereotypes and the biases. Still, promotion discrimination. Some companies still have no women senior officers, and you still can face the glass ceiling at times. Careers, not easy, but the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. You have to decide that for yourself. Great pay and benefits. I work 6 months on, 6 months off. Actually, I work 2 months on, and then I'd have 2 months off. We're on vacation for 2 months, and didn't have to think about anything really until I go back to work. At times, it can be pretty quick going up the chain or the ladder, depending on what part of the industry you're in. Every day I learn something new, which I always thought was great. In my own career, I don't think new. Hours are long, but you can be really proud of your accomplishments. And when you're sure, when you tell people what they do, everyone's always really interested and astonished. On high seas adventures and travel, and if you're not on a run where you're going, do you have enough time on your time off to go? Many jobs are gotten through unions, just as extra. Quite a few of the ships that go ashore are gotten through, those jobs are gotten through unions. There's quite a bit on this slide. I won't go through it all, but there's the option of a 4-year degree, a degree, or parts of other to go about through it. Obviously, if you have any kind of electrician or engineering, those are quite high demand. Personal strategies, I think finding the right mentor is key. Finding somebody that might already be in the industry or know something about the industry help you to those blanks that you might not know about. Once you're working, sometimes somebody that is could be modern, somebody that's very positive and wants to help you could be a good mentor, but you need to definitely find a mentor. You need to have confidence. How you make it you kind of have to try it on and strive to put out a confident nature. You need to get a lot of support from your family and friends when you're gone. You're gone, and so that might mean doing a lot more of the legwork in these relationships, keeping in touch with them, letting them know when you're home, calling them up. I would keeping a journal to write it all down, and this isn't because you might need it someday, but rather as a memoir, and to also look back to see what you've done and how you're feeling, how it's going. If you get rough, take a moving average. What do I like today? What did I feel like yesterday? What's it be like in a week? And again, what is my decision that I make 30 minutes from now, 3 from now, or whatever the metric you want to think about when things are going rough? You might have to put up with a curve that's a dinosaur, but really, what's the outcome? I think it's important to have an exit strategy because understanding where you want to be and where you want to go, and working out how to figure out what's your next step. And when you go to ask questions, ask in a smart way, maybe do it alongside, aside, but maybe not in a big group. Simply ask questions in a big group. Women asking questions in a big group, it can be taken the wrong way. And I would really suggest trying to a bit of research and sleuthing before you need to ask a public question. I think here's change. It's got to from the top. No middle manager is ever going to effectively institute a change, such as putting women on board or women in top levels. Top level management needs to spin the change. With the token, 2 means you're no longer alone, but 3 is really needed on board. To make a statement. Last couple of slides talk about job opportunities and internship. I think the big is to figure out what you want to do, what's available. The industry is vast. There's passenger vessels, ferry vessels, fishing. There's all sorts of research opportunities, and each of the industry is very vast and different. Figure out what really gets to you, what interests you, and go from there. Ask a lot of questions. And I will tell you to look at industry publications, both online and in print. There's a lot of information with the different types of industry there is, as well as who's looking for jobs. Engineering, we're big need engineering license and huge shortage there, so if you're at all interested in that. There's Job Corps program, there's 4-degree programs, there's community colleges that you can go to, and the Coast Guard website also has a wealth of information on the industry and centers of expertise for the different types of the industry available. So again, my company, now I provide compliance auditing to these vessels are being operated in a safe manner, and I get to go on board now every day, but I do get to come home at night, which is nice. And there's another slide that you can look. You can send email if you have any questions, but I really want to thank you for your time today.
Okay. Now for Rebecca, Women in Aviation.
Good morning, everyone. This is very interesting so far, so let me add my portion to that. As mentioned earlier, I am a commercial pilot and a certified flight instructor. I have been flying for a very long time, to the point where I not necessarily want to admit how long I've been flying, but it has been roughly 37 years, so it's been quite a while. I have a variety of aircraft in that time, from very simple things to very complex things, from small to large. The really neat thing about airplanes is they don't care whether you're big or little, you're a man or a woman, kind of like the ships that Captain Catherine was talking about. If you do it, it doesn't matter your sex or your size, which is really great. I come from a family of 3 girls. My dad always encouraged, allowed, and to do the things that he did. We fished, hunted, we swam, we skied, we drove everything. Cars, trucks, farm equipment, boats, motorcycles, airplanes, you name it. We girls did it. It's a proving one in the household with my mom. Being of her generation, she didn't think that was proper behavior for girls, that girls should wear dresses and look pretty and not get dirty and not being around outside doing all those things. But today we didn't let that stop us. We did whatever we wanted to do. And as long as Dad was supportive, we got to do it. Big help. I started flying with our local farmers and ranchers in the area in southern Arizona. Planes as tools for checking cattle, fences, spreading seeds, spreading fertilizer, this sort of thing. For a lot of us kids who grew up in that area, we had a nearby community college that offered pilot and mechanic training programs for aircraft. Some of us are licenses, and for me, I also took business classes along earning my pilot licenses and graduated a 2-year degree. Continued my education. You're flying, you're always adding your skills. You're always improving your skills, honing your skills, adding knowledge, adding to your ratings. You never stop learning. It's a definite push. It is a highly regulated industry. You have to meet criteria for those licenses to start with. You have to meet criteria to continue to use those licenses, and you have to maintain your health so that you're safe to fly as well. Approximately 600,000 licensed pilots in the United States today. About 5% of them are women. Now, if you ask at that figure and say, oh my gosh, that's really low, that really has not changed over many decades. Why not? We taught this on a fairly regular basis. And what means is that the biggest obstacle tends to be us, ourselves, and not to be confident enough. We tend to think of aviation and flying as a career for women. We think of it as a career for men. So we have perception that we can't do it, a lack of confidence, a lack of belief in ourselves. Really, the biggie, you still get families who will say, oh, I do that, dearie, you're a girl, you shouldn't do that. But most of it, I think, for us is exposure and faith in oneself and your ability to try something new. You can do it. Yes, you can do well at it. And certainly, as time has gone by, the industry, both male and female, is extremely supportive of women. Almost supportive. You get occasional Neanderthal in there from time to time, but for the most part, fully, we support. The new airplane, again, it doesn't care whether you're a man or a woman. Challenges to learning to fly it and fly it well are the same. You have to put in all the hours of book study. You have to put in all the hours of takeoff and landing practice. You have to put in all the hours of human approaches and learning how to handle empty procedures and all of those things that are wrapped up. Not to mention you get some meteorology and some physics and aerodynamics and all those other little goodies. To fly the airplane, your confidence level tends to go up greatly. It seems a lot more viable to have a career in the aviation field with a lot of confidence in yourself. And that's really great to encourage youngsters, young ladies in particular, to on that type of challenge, because men really like to hear this, but women tend to make really, really good pilots. Very thorough about how we learn things. We're not afraid to ask questions, and we do it until we get it right. Our ego doesn't get in the way. Also, be a little smoother on the controls and just have a nice hand at things. So it's always a pleasure to help a woman learn to fly and watch her own abilities and to become good at it, and that wonderful, wonderful sense of confidence that comes along with it. That number of 5% of that 600,000 pilots. Aviation started to become more commercial back in the 20s, basically, when we were storming and the men had come home from World War I. It was there to be a pilot. In 1929, there were 16 ladies with pilot licenses. They were able to compete with the men because the men were grabbing up all the jobs. There weren't enough jobs to go into at that time. And it was pretty entertaining because you talk about some determined ladies. They sent out a letter to every one of those 116 ladies. 99 of them responded. Thus, the organization, the 99s, was born, and Earhart was the president. And gals used their 99 muscle to make sure that they got their share of the jobs at the time, even then when they were really fighting gender stereotypes and society's expectations of women. A long way since then, and you find women today, young, old, in every size of cockpit, in every possible aircraft out there, from the little to the shuttle. We had lady space shuttle commanders. We have women fly the latest flying aircraft, the 787, the 747, all these things. So really done terrific. What would be great from now on would be to see even more women come into the industry. The network is there. Our organization, Women in Aviation, supports all entrants into any type of aviation career, not just pilots. The 90s are hugely supportive of women who are looking to earn their pilot licenses. Owners and Pilots Association and Paramount Aircraft Association, everybody is very focused on bringing more and more people into the aviation industry. And quite frankly, they don't care whether they're boys or girls. We just want to have more people come learn to fly or become parts of the aviation industry as a whole. So the time to get involved. I was at the Women in Aviation Conference in Nashville, Tennessee 2 weeks ago. there were 5,000 attendees at this amazing conference. Every airline was there, all the small airlines, the cargo airlines. There are any number of universities and training schools that are available to help people earn licenses and also to get these at the same time, because that's more important today than ever. It's the most hiring I have probably ever seen in 1 year in the whole of my career. I was just amazed. I was just overwhelmed. I couldn't wait to come back and share it with the chapter here, share it with the young people that I mentor, share it with everybody involved to go, wow, this is just such a great time. So I would say to you and to the people that you interact with, young and old, is that there are opportunities now like probably never before. All the commuters are hiring. Now, there's one caveat there. It's like what Desiree mentioned about trucking. When you first start out, the pay is very low. Those first few years on a commuter airline, the pay is very low. But the opportunities to advance to a bigger airline and better pay, fortunately, are much closer than they used to be. So it's a great help. Remember, though, that besides the airlines, businesses use aircraft for many tools and effective uses in the course of their work. All airplanes will run the president of a company over to see somebody 2 states over to on the latest prototype. Planes will to a high-level meeting in Europe. Airplanes are going everywhere all the time. I was thinking of an analogy when I was listening to the other lady speaking. That has a huge aviation department. The bulk of the product travels by sea, travels by truck once it gets on land in this country. And in time, Walmart's airplanes are traveling around, making effective business decisions, holding meetings, doing the things that company executives need to do in a very effective, face-to-face manner. So it's really, really neat when you think about the bigger transportation picture, how all of the industries that we are talking about make our world go around. And it is a wonderful time to be involved with all of them. Our interest, of course, is the military. Young people are quite interested in the unmanned aerial vehicles, the UAVs, the drones. More of that available. And the most exciting one that I think that is out there is that NASA is hiring astronauts again. How incredible is that? There's a few things that makes me wish I was younger. I would be thrilled to go into space with NASA. However, we could go into space with a commercial space because there's a couple of those that are trying real hard to get people up there. So for you being a young woman right now, and you can go to college and have an engineering degree and learn to fly, and you can get hired at NASA, and the next thing you know, let's go to Pluto or something like that. That is just absolutely fascinating and terrific opportunity. Just remind your youngsters that we're here for them. And youngsters, doesn't matter. I've had 78-year-olds learn to fly. I've had 12-year-olds learn to fly. So age doesn't matter either. It's purely health and ability is all that matters. And we are here to support and to help you. And if you run into a stone or a gender issue, we'll help you deal with that too. Fortunately, like I said, aviation, it doesn't come up too much. But it's our great pleasure to help more people come along, more women come along in our industry and be successful, be happy with their jobs. That's all I can tell you for the moment.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all three of our presenters, and especially for sharing your personal experiences about the careers, why you chose them, some stories about barriers and how you overcame the barriers, and also at the end of each presentation, you've all included information on how our participants can contact you, and I think that's just wonderful. Now I'd like to turn to our the Women's Bureau launched a Women Build, Protect, and Move America portal last November, and we wanted to show you how you get more information about transportation careers. The address is As you can see, www.dol.gov/WB/NTO. The first page you'll see is this one, and then you'll scroll down, you'll find a Workers tab and an Employers tab. You'll see that there are other stories from women who have found success in non-traditional occupations, and there are places here where you can all feel free to share your own story. We'll go ahead and click on the Worker tab. So looking for more information, click the Occupation Information tab. Once you click the web page open, you'll see the different occupation sectors, and transportation is on your far right. And you can click on this title and get more information about the transportation industry. As many of you have been submitting your questions, I'm going to turn this over to our panelist, Hari Chong, and she is going to handle the question and answer session. I would like to also at this point thank Hari for all of her work on this webinar. This has been her project for us, and without her we would not be having this today. So thank you, Hari, for all your work, and now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Locke. So if you haven't already, please do submit your questions. Yes, please do use the chat box next on your right side. Please name the panelist that you have a question for. Looks like we have one question for Desiree. Are you on? This question is for you. How do you balance your career ambitions with starting a family?
Me personally, my kids are grown up, and I'm a grandmother. But for women that are just entering trucking that haven't had a family, there are regulations against being a pregnant truck driver. I've encountered women that drove all the way up until 8 months of pregnancy. That being said, though, the lifestyle of an over-the-road truck driver is really not children and relationships. You miss birthdays. It's just unpredictable when you're going to be home. You can never say for sure. The Skype has helped some. If you have a strong family support system at home that can take care of kids, you really don't recommend it unless your kids are grown up. But if that's the situation you're in, Skype and Facebook is helpful to keep families connected when they're on the road. I mean, those tech skills to even do that. A lot of women that are truck drivers have limited technical skills with smartphones. I think our group is actually starting some of our own webinars to teach women how to use their smartphones and laptops and tablets better to use lifestyle apps and things that can stay connected with family.
Very interesting using the new technology available. This question here is for Captain Catherine. What are the most difficult challenges facing women in the maritime industry today? Captain Catherine? You unmute your phone.
Problems unmuting. I think the biggest challenge today for entering the industry is just knowing what part of the industry you want to work in and get there. And hopefully you know someone, but people talk to had to know somebody in the industry because we're not very good spokespeople for industry. A lot of people just don't have a clue. 90% of everything comes over through oceans, through container ships. are brought somehow over the ocean. So I don't do a very good job of getting word out there that these are the that are out there, and what are the basic things you can do. I think figure out where you want to go. There's cities, especially if you're willing to work hard.
Thank you. We have a question for Rebecca. The audience member would like to know what factors that helped you to pursue career in aviation. It could be personal or academic.
Say that part of it is that I like challenge, like mechanical things. From a point of view, academically, I always did well in school, so I didn't mind doing the school work that it took to do it. I think a lot of it was a support network around me, that my dad was supportive, and, you know, the people the neighbors were supportive, and the people at school were very supportive. So just sort of work together, that the support outweighed the negative people. So that's a huge help.
This question is for Desiree. Were there times that you can recollect during your career where support system or mentor group didn't meet what you're looking for or your needs?
Yeah, you know, I initially joined another women's trucking organization for support when I was having problems, and what I was verbally attacked and stalked online for speaking about some of the issues I was encountering. Some of the same things that were in this presentation I had here today. My membership was revoked from that organization when I started asking questions about some of their bond partners where the assaults were happening and the harassment. Those assaults still going on at that carrier. It was that kind of intimidation that was going on towards me and to other women. It's one of the reasons why truck drivers don't speak out, especially women truck drivers. There's starting to be some driver coercion and harassment process through the FMCSA, but they're not more than anything than like a paper tiger to the drivers. They don't really seem like any sort of whistleblower protection or any kind of support. There's still not a solid advocacy, and our organization is relatively new, but that's sort of where we're going with it, is to give the drivers a true advocate.
Okay. We'll take one more question to respect everyone's time. This one is for all. How have you advocated for diversity without hindering your own career? Any question?
I have acted for others and my career, but I seem to have overcome it now. In the beginning, it was really hard, and a lot of people would say you're going to get another job, but very clear my resume now, and it's actually starting to find people that are like really about what I'm doing, and they want to be associated with me, and want their business to be associated with me. So sort of a changing of the tides now, where people, see.
Great. Thank you. We will see you next time.
thank everybody for participating. This is Faye, and we plan to hold more of these webinars, and if you have suggestions, we would be very happy to take those suggestions, and also suggestions for producing webinars in the future. So thank you very much for your time and participation. You may now disconnect.